Hello and welcome to Under the Visor, the weekly Formula One podcast where one of us knows exactly what he's talking about.
And the other one is still very much learning.
I'm Carl.
And I'm Tom.
And every week we break down the biggest stories from the world of Formula One.
From race results and strategy battles,
to the chaos, controversy, and everything happening behind the scenes.
Today we're looking back on the first race of the season, the 2026 Australian Grand Prix. The opening race of the season.
It is the opening race. But first, I think it should be apt that we should introduce ourselves, right?
Yeah. I'm Tom.
I'm Carl.
There we go. Right.
There we go.
How did you get in Formula One? Come on.
How did I get in Formula One? I was just going to say quickly, but you'll probably find that we keep looking over our right shoulder, and that's because that's where we can see each other. So we often will be looking over there, and it's not because we're looking off into the distance, it's because we're looking into each other's eyes, because we're quite clearly not in the same room. But yes, I got into Formula One last year. I watched it a little bit back in the early 2000s before the rule change with refueling, and then never really kind of got into it that much. Always kind of followed who was winning the season and things like that, but I didn't really watch any races. But last year I watched a few, and this year I have vowed to watch every race.
See.
What about you?
Well, for me, it would have been 94. I started watching it, big Damon Hill fan, and loved the sport ever since. And this will be my 30th year of going to the British Grand Prix, and I'm taking you with me the whole weekend.
You are. We're going for the whole weekend.
Yeah.
We did go last year, but we only went for qualifying. That was obviously my first time. But yes, we are going for the whole weekend this year.
And it will be exciting. It should be a good race. So shall we do a quick pre-season recap?
I think we should, seeing as we did record a pre-season episode just without your audio. So yeah, let's do a little recap, shall we?
What are you talking about? I'm a professional.
We're definitely not, but we recorded an hour and 15 minutes of video just without audio. So yeah. We're gonna recap an hour and 15 minutes in probably a minute and 15 seconds.
Well, let's do that because we won't be boring them then. So basically what's changed is all new cars, all new regulations. And to sum it down quickly, the cars are shorter and thinner and look better. It's a 50-50 split now. Well, actually, I think it's a 48-52 or something like that, split between combustion and electric power. DRS is gone. So now it's called drag reduction. I can't remember what they actually call it, but basically the front wing and the rear wing both open at certain parts of the track to give extra speed. They have Active Aero. That's it. Thank you. And
he's the expert.
I'm the expert. He knows nothing, clearly. So what they've also done is they've added the boost button, and they've got what's called overtake as well. So when you're within a second of the car in front, a bit like DRS was, you can use your overtake and get an extra, I think it's half a kilojoule of energy. It's sort of going to be about managing the power, how much they use. They've also got something called super clipping, which will also top up the battery when they hit full revs down the straight. And that, long and short of it, without going into too much details, and we will over the year we'll go into more detail about how the cars have changed, but that is it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
We have some new teams as well.
We do. We have Audi and Cadillac.
General Motors, yeah, under the Cadillac brand. How do you think they'll do? We kind of know. But...
Yeah, we do kind of know because obviously we've watched the race this morning, but I think I think it's going to take a season or two for them to really show what they're capable of doing.
I think Audi is too early.
They have.
Audi impressed.
They have, but I think there's still time for them to prove.
I agree, but I mean, Audi got both cars. No, they got one car to the end, and Cadillac also got one car to the end. So they've got to be pleased at that in the first, especially Cadillac, to get Perez, even though he finished 16th, to get to the end of the end of the race, and obviously Valtteri Bottas failed to finish. I think it was an engine failure, but they're doing well. And I don't think Nico Hulkenberg even started the race, did he?
He didn't, know.
So, pros and cons to both of them at the moment, and we'll see how they move during the season. There's been quite a few driver transfers as well. You can take us over them, Carl.
Okay. Hadjar to Red Bull.
Good move.
Red Bull got rid of Yuki, have replaced him with Hadjar, who we'll talk about a little bit when we go over the race recap. What else have we had? Remind me.
We have had Limbalad joining
Limblad.
Racing Bulls.
Only rookie of the season.
What else have we had?
Trying to look through my pre-season notes because I didn't have them open because I was looking at Australia. Obviously, Hulkenberg and Bortoletto for Audi, Perez and Bottas for Cadillac.
Yeah. It's good to see Checo back on the grid as well, I think. Yeah,
it is. Obviously, we've got Hamilton and Leclerc year 2.
Yeah, how do you think they'll do?
Well, year 1 was obviously a very rocky year for Lewis at Ferrari. I'm hoping. I mean, not that I'm a Ferrari or a Hamilton fan, but I think for the sport, I think I'm kind of hoping that they do a lot better this year.
And judging by the first race, they seem to have the car together. But we'll come into more detail on that later on in the episode.
Yeah. But that's kind of it for driver transfers. Obviously, a lot of last year's rookies are now in their second or third year.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot to prove. I think people, especially like Liam Lawson, who I'm a big fan of, I think he's got a lot to prove. Obviously, having been dropped by Red Bull last year after 2 races and not having a very good year last year.
I agree. And if we look at the teams, I mean, we kind of know a bit more now, but obviously Mercedes coming out of testing were looking very strong. McLaren weren't looking too bad, but obviously, and Ferrari, the usual suspects that we thought would be good coming out of the winter sort of have shown well. And it looks like, they weren't sandbagging too much or anything else like that. Which driver change are you most interested in seeing play out?
I think the Hadjar seat is one that I'm particularly looking at.
Yeah.
Simply because Max hasn't had that, or well, not just Max, but Red Bull hasn't had that second driver consistency. And from what I've seen so far of Hadjar, he could potentially...
He could drive the car. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I think he can get the points that they need to be in contention for the constructors title again.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
So, yeah. Any other big surprises?
Out of the winter?
I mean, you were shocked by the Yuki drop.
I was, yeah. I thought that was a weird thing, as they'd already got rid of Lawson, brought Yuki up, and then decided that, we'll get rid of Yuki now. He's done his thing. But nobody could drive that car anyway because it was built around Max, the same as when Schumacher went to Ferrari in '96. They built the Ferrari around him. But maybe this year now they seem to have. They seem to have got it so that maybe they can both drive it. If anything, Hadjar's impressed a little bit more than Max so far. But we'll again, we can come on to that with our...
Yeah, because I think there's a conversation piece to have about Hadjar's race. Okay, well, that's kind of the winter break recapped in a very short period. Should we get to Melbourne?
Let's do it. So let's look at practice. Obviously, all the drivers are trying to find the limit. Some may be sandbagging, but we can look at that. You know, Russell seemed very quick. Mercedes seemed very quick. I think the biggest shock was the news out of Aston Martin that they can't do more than 15 or 25 laps due to the Honda engine vibrating so much.
Yeah, it's a shame for Aston Martin because obviously they're also, well, they've got potential, but the point what I'm trying to make is they've got good heritage in them, but it's just a shame that they've not been able to show that or do anything because of this vibration issue.
I mean, with Aston Martin taking on Adrian Newey, putting him in as technical director and team principal, it's obviously not the car. It's definitely something to do with the Honda engine, and hopefully they'll get on top of that. And they did fight, and then you had the Russell and Lindblad incident. Lindblad, colliding with each other, leaving the pit lane. I mean, again, it's the first practice of the season. It wasn't an ideal thing, but it was a minor infraction.
Verstappen broke down.
He did. It was the end of the pit lane.
Yeah, right at the end of the pit lane, had to be rolled back.
And then he returned to go off later on as well, didn't he? So
yeah, so he came off, which was a bit weird because I didn't really see a reason for it. I don't know. I know he had a lock-up on, I think it was turn 5 early on, but
I think it's just a difficult car to drive and he's not enjoying it. As we'll come on to later with him. And Hadjard was obviously trying to find as much time as he can because he was struggling with track limits and curbs and all sorts. And but that's what practice is for. It's to find the limit, go as quickly as you can and see what you can do. And turn 3 did seem to be the one place where everyone was doing that. Everyone really, really struggled with turn 3.
Colapinto came off, Hamilton came off, Russell came off, Leclerc came off, all at turn 3. It's like, so turn 3 had a Kit Kat graphic on it, and it's like they all took the have a break, have a Kit Kat literally, and all decided that at that turn, you know what, we'll park up and have a break.
They will have a break over here.
The only thing I could think of.
But Piastri was quick, very quick.
Yes, he was. He got the fastest lap time of a 1:19.7.
Again, no Australian driver has ever finished on the podium at the Australian Grand Prix. And,
no.
Well, we'll come on to why that's not going to change later on.
So I know we spoke about Aston Martin. Alonso did 18 laps in practice and Stroll did 13.
Okay. So they're obviously going to use this weekend, I'd say, more as a test session rather than anything else to try and learn more about the car. And I think, well, we know more now that Mercedes were obviously hiding their pace. Do you think? I mean, everybody else ran apart from Aston Martin. Reliability was sort of all right, wasn't it? There was no major.
Well, P1 was a little disappointing for McLaren because Lando had a weird feeling with his gearbox and only did 7 laps in practice 1. Piastri started off with a power delivery issue, but that sorted itself out. Lindblad had some engine issues in P1. Perez reported his engine was breaking and then spun off the track. And Albon retired from practice 1 for hydraulic issues, and Alonso didn't even leave the garage. Stroll only did 3 laps in practice 1.
Yeah, I mean, practice 1's always a hit and miss session anyway. They're trying to learn as much as they can, but as they got through P2 and P3, things of come together more, and they all sort of gathered their stuff together. And I think, obviously Mercedes were sandbagging a bit, but then were very quick. I believe in P3, they stopped that and put everything together. And George Russell set the fastest lap of a 1:19.4, having done 23 laps. So they were obviously sandbagging in the previous session because Oscar was fastest in P2 and Charles was fastest in P1. So, I mean, I think they were both sandbagging a bit in the first couple of sessions.
Yeah.
And then we move on to qualifying, which was very interesting.
It was. Obviously, there's 3 parts to qualifying. With was it 6 teams going out in Q1 and Q2, leaving 10.
There is Q3. Normally, but I believe that some didn't take part because I think only 19 cars took part. Or no, I think it was 20 because obviously Verstappen very quickly eliminated himself with a very weird accident. It looked literally like the rear axle of his car just completely locked up and sent him into the wall. A very weird crash. And then you had Carlos Sainz and again Lance Stroll didn't take part in the qualifying because they were 21st, 22nd on the grid. And Max obviously didn't manage to set a time either because I think it was his first run that he sent it off into the wall.
Yeah, he had so he had, as you say, a rear axle lock up and he hit the barrier.
Yeah,
he actually had to go and have his hands X-rayed after.
He was shaking a little bit, wasn't he? Because he felt it.
Yeah, so he's okay, obviously, because he took part in the race. But I think the impact where he was holding onto the steering wheel, the steering wheel kind of span and took his hands with it. So just as a precaution, had him X-rayed, but was all okay.
So out of we literally lost 3 drivers in Q1, which was Fernando, Sergio, well, the 2 Cadillacs, Sergio and Valtteri. And the Cadillacs were about 1.5, 2 seconds off the pace, I'd say. Obviously, with Aston, we know that they're struggling, but they weren't too far off. About 0.7 of a second off Colapinto and the Alpine. So Q1 didn't throw up any massive surprises. We sort of knew that Cadillac would be out and probably the Aston Martin as well. And then obviously we move into Q3, and I think the thing for me that shone the most in Q3 was how good Audi were.
Yes, yeah, they did really well. To be fair, they just missed out on Q3, didn't they?
Yeah, about 2-3 tenths of a second off. Gabriele Bortoleto was literally 2-3. You know, they were split by 1/10 of a second as well. Him and Hulkenberg, and Bortoleto out qualified him, and then you had the Hasses of Behrman and Ocon, the Alpine, Williams Alpine. It was. I'd love to. I think Audi will get into Q3.
Eventually,
did Bortoleto not? I don't think Bortoleto made it into Q3, but didn't take part in Q3 session. I'm pretty sure he did. We'll check that anyway. I'm pretty sure that he made it through, and that we lost Hulkenberg, Behrman, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, and Colapinto. I think that's what we did. And then I don't think they took part in Q3.
So you had Bortoleto was 10th, Hulkenberg was 11th.
So they did make it through then. They got through to the top 10 shootout.
Hulkenberg 11th.
Yeah.
Bortoleto then got 10th.
So Bortoleto did get through. That's very good. Well done. I don't know. We'll have to recap of why he didn't do anything in Q3. And then, obviously, into the last part of qualifying. And Mercedes were ridiculous. You know.
Yeah,
nearly a second
yeah.
quicker.
Which just proves that they were sandbagging in
Yeah.
practice, and not showing us the true potential.
Yeah, so quick. I mean, Russell finished on a 1:18.5, Kimi Antonelli on a 1:18.8, and then the biggest surprise was Ijik Hazard in doing a 1:19.3. Don't know where he found that pace, beating the Ferraris. The McLarens did well, getting 5th and 6th. I think they did well to out qualify the old boy Lewis. Again, getting beaten by his teammate again, and not that close. I mean, Charles did a 1:19.3 and he did a 1:19.4. It's only 100th of a second.
Yeah,
when they're that close,
we say that, but the two McLarens still managed to sandwich between the two Ferraris.
Yeah, and when the times are that close in that pack, he's got to be quicker. And this car, he says, seems to suit him better than the ground effect cars. So, well, we'll see how he transpires. But Isaac Hazard, for me, driver of qualifying, absolutely pulled it out of the bag and was best after the Mercedes. You can't fault him on that.
No. Biggest disappointment though?
Biggest disappointment for me, I would have to say Lewis.
Okay.
I think he needs to do better.
Yeah.
I really do think he needs to do better if he's going to have any chance of beating Charles this year. I think he is the multiple world champion. He has to do better. The other disappointment for me would be just that we didn't get to see Verstappen's full pace, because I think he would have been, if Hazard can qualify third, I think that he would have given the Mercedes, maybe split the Mercedes, even. So that was the other shame, is it doesn't seem like it was his fault either. So should we move on to the race?
Move on to Sunday, Today,
yes.
Very early start.
Very, very early start. Some of us earlier than others. I managed to stay up. You managed to wake up.
Yeah.
And you woke up to the news that Oscar Piastri had pinned it into the wall.
I did. That's the first thing you said to me in the text message when you were checking that I was awake. It said, Oscar out already, fuck's sake.
Yeah. And utter disappointment. The Oscar Piastri grandstands, who have all paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars, pounds, wherever you want to see it, to go there, and he just binned it. He was complaining as he went out. You could hear that the gears were not quite synced, and this, that, and the other. But it was his fault. He just absolutely.
We clipped the curb, didn't he?
He got onto the curb, and he obviously had a power spike, but just it will take him a while to get over that. And that was the big letdown for McLaren. Was he was quick, and he would have done well, I think. But yeah, I couldn't believe it, and I don't think many people could. That at his home race again, it still was the same. That no Australian has ever finished on the podium, and it's like what's the word? It's an omen for them.
Yeah, bad omen.
Bad omen. Just unbelievable. But unlucky Oscar, and I'm sure he'll bounce back really strong from that in the coming races.
So there was a couple of incidents post race before the start. Hulkenberg was going to start from the pits, but then didn't start at all because of technical issues, is what it's been quoted as. Colapinto was placed under investigation because a mechanic touched his car after the 15-second warning and before the formation lap, which ultimately got him a penalty, which has been Go on.
It was called, and we'll put a little graphic up, called the Colapinto and Go penalty.
It was.
Should be a stop and go, but it wasn't. They obviously the FIA have made new penalties this year, and this was a Colapinto and Go. So as you can see via the graphic. So yeah, it was I mean, that is a real shame for Audi, because they were so good, so quick, but obviously new team, technical issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can't grumble too much.
No.
And then we move on to the race start, and what a start!
Yeah. Oh, it was a brilliant start for some.
Yeah.
Lawson had a power issue, and couldn't get his car going for, I think it was 4 or 5 seconds. Colapinto nearly smashed into the back of him.
So close. I don't know how he missed him and the wall.
No.
And we'll put you can see here.
We'll put a clip.
You can see just millimeters, and that would have been a huge accident if they'd come together. So yeah, well done for avoiding.
Yeah.
Because that was lightning reactions.
It was. I mean, Leclerc had a great start. He gained 3 places and took an early lead. Hadjar jumped to 3rd at the first corner. Lindblad went from 9th to 4th.
And I think, shall I explain that quickly? The Ferrari. So
yeah, go on.
The Ferrari has a smaller turbo, so they can. We always thought they would be really quick off the start, because if you go back to testing, and I'm sure you can find a clip of it somewhere where they did their practice starts, they were just absolutely flying. And this smaller turbo gives them a lot more off the grid pace, and it really showed then. But it does hinder them a bit on the long straight. So maybe when we get to somewhere like Jeddah, or Azerbaijan. Maybe is it Azerbaijan? I think it is, where they've got the really long straights. They might come a cropper, and you saw in the race that they were quite easy to pass on the high speed things. But yeah, that is going to be a thing of the season. Is I think Ferrari may not need to worry too much about poles if they've got that lightning speed off the start and can get ahead. But yeah, the start from Leclerc as he weaved between how he got through them all was absolutely amazing, and Hadjar start again was unbelievable. And we had a really good first few laps, and we had a few first lap incidents, didn't we? We had like you say, Lawson had the power issues, and his car didn't pull away, and then they all were quite well behaved during the first lap, learning obviously. So much overtaking. I think we had 9 overtakes, didn't we? 7 overtakes, like that.
There was a lot of overtaking in the first 3 laps.
And 7 different leaders or something like that, when they were all tussling and stuff, which I thought was brilliant. I mean, hopefully,
it's proper racing.
If you go to our TikTok, you'll be able to hopefully see some of our reactions to all of this stuff happening live, because we record ourselves watching the race, and we will get those in the future up onto YouTube and stuff like that. Or even if you want, you can do watch-alongs with us. We might get something like that sorted. But you'll see our live reactions if you follow one of these little things to the TikTok. You'll be able to see our live reactions. And there were lots of, and it showed that you could follow a car closer. Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, but also just how much these boost and overtake modes are gonna play in the race.
And it did settle down though. It did settle down once they learned how to manage it and when to use it and all of that. And what was Crofty going on about? Do you remember he was going on about going into the sweet shops? Yeah, go into the sweet shop, get all the sweets, become fat, then give away your sweets. I don't know what he was going. It was all it did is make me want.
All it did is make me want sweets.
Yeah, and made me remember when I don't know if any of you saw it, Lando and Oscar were rating Tim Tams from like the different flavours of Tim Tams from best to worst. And I was thinking, Crofty's going on about sweets. Lando wouldn't even take a bite of the Tim Tam because it had too many calories in. And I was thinking, Carl said it, he said, well, I'd have done the whole packet and then got another packet, and he's going, oh no, I can't possibly have a nibble of that because And Lando's favourite chocolate bar, by the way, would you like to know, is the Kinder chocolates. Those tiny little bars. That's his treat. That's his treat. That's his favourite chocolate. There you go. A little thing you may not have known. Okay. And then we come on to the safety car.
Yeah, so we had a virtual safety car because Hajar broke down.
Gutting.
Really, really gutting. For somebody who did so well in quali and practice and was really, really showing potential, did really well in the first couple of laps and just lost power. There's various different things saying what happened, whether it's power loss or a hydraulic issue, but just broke down. Had to pull off the track, caused a virtual safety car, and I think that was where the race turned for me, and it went from the very busy overtaking first part of the race that we had to now strategy comes to play.
Also, Hajar still hasn't managed to finish an Australian Grand Prix, because if you remember back last year, he did a Piastri, or we can say Piastri did a Hajar and just binned it before the race had even got going. And yeah, we move on to strategy, and again, Ferrari couldn't buy a strategy. I don't know what they do, but I remember Hamilton came on the radio and said, you should have pitted one of us, and they should have done, but they didn't. And that, for me, it cost them 10 seconds, like you're about to say.
Yeah.
I think it could have. I think it also cost them the race, because although, yes, they did finish more than 10 seconds behind George and Kimi, and but it's not about that. They would have been there or thereabouts. And Ferrari need to sort their strategy out if they're going to have any chance this year. And I also don't know why Hamilton didn't. Maybe he couldn't. But when Leclerc and George were fighting at the beginning of the race, he was just hanging back. Was he hanging back? Did he not have the speed? If he was right there on George's gearbox, again, he could have got past George. Even if he didn't have the speed, he could have held George up a bit. Anyway, we're not Ferrari fans, but we're F1 fans, and Ferrari need to sort their strategy out. And we'll move on to tyre management. You know, that was something else that came into play.
Yeah, I mean, some people swapped too late, but quite a lot of people got it right. Mercedes, for example, they switched onto the hards during the virtual safety car, and were able to then do 34 laps on them to finish the race, something like that. 30 something laps on them, and only had to do a one pit strategy.
I mean, how the Mercedes kept going on those tyres again is unbelievable. But they do call George the tyre
whisperer.
Yeah, tyre whisperer. And
to be fair, they came over the radio and said to him, "Do you think you can finish on this one set?" And he said, "Yeah," in not so many words. He said yes. Whereas no. Kimi was like, "Well, I'm not too sure I can."
Yeah.
So obviously Russell knows more than the rest of us.
Well, he knows something, but then there's different driving strategies and stuff. Different driver way they manage the tyres and stuff like that. And if Kimi didn't think, but he did manage it and got second, which was amazing. So in the mid race, what do you think the key battles were? There was a lot of midfield battles.
There was. I mean, we lost Bottas on lap 19.
And again, big shame. For him. And Cadillac, but it was to be expected. I would say.
Yeah, we did. There was a lot of battling going on, as you say, in the midfield. Gasly and Ocon had a few close calls with an actual, what looked like a collision.
Yeah, they did touch.
But the stewards investigated it and took no further action. So, yeah, not quite sure what to take from that. But you had Behrman and Lindblad in a battle as well, with Behrman, did he come out on top?
He did, yes.
In the end,
yeah, he did get past him.
Yeah, so
Lindblad put up a good fight and wasn't scared.
He did. It was very, very entertaining to watch the Lindblad and Behrman battles. That was
and you also had
good.
Lawson and Perez had their little. There's no love lost there because obviously Lawson took Perez's seat at Red Bull, and Perez basically said, "No, mate, you're not coming through." I don't know how you say that in Mexican, but go away. And that was quite a fun battle. And they touched, interlocked wheels for a second, but nothing came out of it. And then we had Ferrari come into the pits on lap 29, which again, and then Hamilton tried to hang out his tyres, didn't he, for another 3 or 4 laps, and then he came in, and they just didn't have the speed at that point. Russell and Kimi were P1 and 2, and they just kept going. There was no way Ferrari were coming back from that. They were all waiting for a safety car or a VSC, which didn't come until 34, wasn't it? When there was that debris.
It was a very, very short one. Some debris came off of the Cadillac because of a little collision that they had.
I can't believe they sent someone on the track.
Well, I don't know what they were thinking. Cars were literally coming around the bend and 2 stewards just ran on the track to go and collect it.
The amount of silliness we've got in Formula One at the moment where, well, we can't run, it's a little bit damp, or this, that and the other, all going back from, very justifiably, we're trying to make the sport safer. And then they go and stick 2 marshals on a blind corner in the middle of the track where those cars are still doing 60, 70 miles an hour with razor sharp front wings and everything. You get hit by one of them. So, but, bad on you, Australia. Think again in the future. And then we come into the final stages.
Well, Verstappen, he ended up getting driver of the race.
Yeah.
He went from P20 and ended up in 6th.
Yeah, another. And good on him for driver of the day, because he absolutely, smashed it out of the park. And I think he ended up 54, best part of 55 seconds behind George. So really solid race from him.
54.6.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got Lando, who finished, in 5th. We can only dream what Piastri would have done, because he was the faster guy this weekend. So again, we go back to it, and then you've obviously got the 2 Ferraris and then the 2 Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, so you had Russell finish, Kimi just under 3 seconds behind him, and then the Ferraris 15.5 seconds, 16.1 seconds.
Yeah.
But then a massive gap to Lando, 51.7 seconds.
Yeah. But
which is a little disappointing if you ask me.
Yeah, he wasn't there today.
No.
He didn't manage it. But big surprise. 9th place. Gabriel Portoletto with the Audi.
Portoletto.
Points in the first race.
That's very, very good for Audi, and shows that they can contend with the
midfield,
the Hasses, the Racing Bulls. So yeah, very excited to see what happens with Audi going forward, whether they can keep that up, because it'd be good for them to start picking up some points.
I also think, and I might be wrong, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I also think that we have set the record in this Grand Prix. Would you like to know what the record is?
Go on.
Most lapped driver going to none other than our Lance Stroll.
Lance Stroll, 15 laps.
15 laps behind the leader.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's because, Alonso DNF'd.
Yeah. Twice.
But this is the thing, they both retired, went into the garage, and then came back out again.
Yes.
So they were obviously tweaking something.
They were,
and used it as an opportunity to test whatever it was that they tweaked.
And you were a bit confused during the race, because you asked this question, which may have confused some other people. Is Part Fair May doesn't apply. They can do whatever they like in the race. Now, that's why he was obviously 15 laps behind, because they went in and they can alter whatever they want. They can fix whatever they want. Now, normally it isn't worth it. If you destroy a back wing, yes, it'll probably take 20 laps to put a back wing on. So there's no point in doing it. So that's where you weren't sure whether they could do stuff. And yes, they can do absolutely anything. Now, the only caveat to that rule is if there's a red flag and they're brought into the pits, they can change the tyres. They won't be allowed to change those certain bits on the car. I can't remember. We'll have to look at the rule in its entirety for the next episode. But there's certain things they can do when there's a red flag. I think it's a free pit stop. They're allowed to do whatever they want if there's a red flag as well, and not lose position or anything else like that. So, I mean, I thought really good race. George was very good, and driver of the day to Verstappen, which I thought was justified as well.
Yeah. I mean, he was very quietly the driver of the day.
Yeah, he just got on with it.
He just got on with it. He just overtook. He went from P20 to 6th.
Yeah.
And didn't get wrapped up in any kind of massive fights. Just drove how Max drives.
And also the big thing as well, the Williams aren't sluggish, are they?
No, I mean, Albon came 12th with Carlos in 15th.
Yeah. Very, very good. And top speeder of the day. Franco.
Well, his name was brought up quite a lot during the race, wasn't it? Colapinto.
With 344 kilometers an hour with a top speed of 213 miles an hour. So he got the top speed of the race. So who was your driver of the race?
My driver of the race. I mean, it's obvious that it's got to be Verstappen for the amount of places he gained. But I think Lindblad needs a shout. I mean, he started in, what was it, 9th? He started, I think.
Lindblad, he started in 9th, yeah.
Yeah, and he finished in 8th. So he didn't rise up the pack and finish high up, but to not lose places and to actually be in point contention amongst the likes of, Gasly, Bortoletto, Behrman, Ocon, all those people finishing around him, to finish up there with them in his rookie year, considering that he's come from, finishing 6th in F2.
Yeah.
I think shows that he's got some potential.
Yes, he did surprise me. I'm going to give mine to Bortoletto.
Okay. Yeah.
He got points for Audi in their first race. You can't really fault that. Now, do you know what I think we should start? And the trouble is, it's a bit of a bad time to start it. But Wally of the race.
If
it wasn't for Piastri, who's obviously won it hands down for me this time, for me it would have been Lewis moaning, but not there on the back of Leclerc. So, you should have pitted one of us. Get up behind Leclerc then. So obviously, unfortunately, it will go to Piastri for Wally of the race. But
I think one of the radio messages Hamilton sent over was, "Just leave me alone to do my race," or something along those lines.
Which reminds me of Kimi. Just leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
A team that impressed the most for me, Audi.
Yes. Yeah, I
Audi
think
and
I'll agree with you on that.
Cadillac finished with one of their cars, and Audi got some points. Biggest mistake of the race? I mean...
Well, what can you class the formation lap as a race?
Let's leave them alone. Biggest mistake of the race. It's got to be the strategy, hasn't it, from Ferrari? They just messed it up.
Yeah, definitely. But that to me is a big facepalm moment.
And should we do some Under the Visor awards? We've done a few of them. So
Yeah,
we've
okay.
done our driver of the race. We've done that. Biggest disappointment. I think we've done that. Best overtake.
I mean, do you give it to Leclerc for the start?
I think you've got to really. I think it's going to be. I think you've got to give it to Leclerc and George for the first 7 laps because they were just brilliant overtakes. Best strategy call.
Probably Mercedes with their tyre choice.
Yeah, I think so. Facepalm moment. Gotta leave him alone. We know what it is. Yeah, we'll leave him alone. But that was the biggest. Actually, to me, the biggest disappointment wasn't necessarily Piastri. Actually, I'm gonna retract that. It was Hadjar breaking down. That was my biggest disappointment.
Okay. All right, not at him though, just at the car.
Well, it was disappointing that he broke down, and so let's look ahead to China.
Yes. I mean, I don't know much about the circuit. If anything, does it favour anyone in particular?
So again, I think it might be a little bit closer than Australia. Australia was, as they've said, is the most power-hungry circuit on the calendar. I think it might bring Ferrari. I think it might help the McLarens as well. I think Verstappen will be quick again. I think Hadjar will be quick again. But I'm hoping we see that 4-way fight between all the top 4 teams. I think Mercedes will probably be the best to do their thing, and I think Hadjar and Piastri, especially Piastri, needs a good weekend. He needs to come back and show that he shrugged it off. He'll have had a week to digest it, and just get over it and calm down. Predictions. Who do you think will win?
I think Ferrari might struggle. I mean, one thing I know about the Chinese circuit is it's got one of the longest straights.
It does, yeah.
And if what you're saying about these smaller turbos, then I think that might cause a bit of an issue for them.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's set a fastest lap since 2004.
So the reason for that
is
obviously the cars were much different back then.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do that this year either.
No, I think it's Mercedes' race to lose.
Again, yes. And who do you think? George, Kimi?
It'd be nice to see Kimi win a race.
That's what I go with. I think Kimi will win. I think Kimi would have won this weekend as well, or been a lot closer to George if he hadn't slammed it into the wall, and he had no set down for a brand new car. So for what he did was amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Kimi. Kimi, Charles, Max.
Who for third?
Max. I don't think George will finish.
Max. You don't think he'll finish?
I don't think he'll finish.
Why not?
Just don't think he will. I think he'll break down or something. I think they've got to have some reliability, and I think Kimi will win.
Okay. I think Lewis really needs to put his finger out.
Correct.
I think the McLarens might shine through.
Yeah.
But maybe just fall in just outside where we would want them to be. Yeah. It would be interesting for me. Another early one.
7, isn't it?
7 a.m. Yeah. Slightly better than 4 a.m.
Much better.
Yeah. I'm going to have to battle a 16-month-old.
And I'm going to have to go to work as well. I'm working up. after the race. So one of them have to
Brilliant.
come back from work and record a podcast. So,
Brilliant.
but yes, so we will see you next weekend.
We will, yes.
And keep an eye on the TikTok as well.
Yeah, so I'll put all the links to all of our different socials in the episode description. So we've got the TikTok, the X, the YouTube, and obviously the podcast. Please do drop a follow on all of them and keep an eye, because we will be posting reactions to news that happens outside of the podcast. If things happen midweek, then that's where you'll get your news from. But I think before Tom starts one of his 45-minute explanations of
it's important content.
Well, you might think it is, but we will end this episode of Under the Visor.
New episodes every Tuesday. Hit the follow so you don't miss the absolute carnage and chaos that is going to be this podcast.
Yeah, and if you've got something you want us to talk about in particular, leave a comment and maybe we'll feature a bit of a Q&A or questions from the viewers or something like that.
And if you enjoyed the show, please like, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah, because it does really help the podcast grow.
Unlike my self-control during race weekends.
Yeah, well, we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
See you later.